This is the second day of April in 2005, and I'm Jim Sweet, formerly the announcer at the Cordova drag strip from 1956 through 1970, back in the heyday of the birth of drag racing. And with me is Tom Ingalls, who was the parts manager at Lerner's Sales and Service in Rock Island, Illinois. At that time, I also was the sales manager for Lerner's Sales and Service. We were a Chrysler Plymouth dealer in a town of 40,000 people, metropolitan area of about 500,000. Several other dealers, but of course they weren't performance dealers collectively. Sleep at the switch, as I like to say, and so we made a real business out of selling the hot rod cars that Chrysler was so famous for producing back in the late 60s and early 70s. Or late 50s, actually, they started. I personally started out with a 52 Hemi racing in 1956 at Cordova. It was a 331 cubic inch. I progressed from there to a 59 361 Plymouth, Golden Commando, and then on into a couple of wedges with the opposing carburetors in a Chrysler 300, a 61 convertible, a G, and then in a 64 coupe. All the time, Tom was taking care of the parts that were needed by our budding racing community. We had a few customers that wanted to do some things, and so I got an in with Ronnie Householder, who was in the racing division of Chrysler Corporation up in Jefferson in Detroit, and through buying a couple of 4 barrels and all the little parts numbers and the linkage and all the stuff that wasn't in the books at that time, I got to know him, and one thing led to another. Arnie Beswick was a former competitor of mine. He drove a 54 Oldsmobile and always beat my 52 Chrysler, but he was a wizard. And at that time, I had offered Arnie, who had a 56 501 Dodge, and then subsequently a 57. I offered him 2 cars and a truck through Ronnie, truck to pull the 2 cars, but he decided he was going to go with Pontiac. So I had a chum that I went to school with, a fellow by the name of Lee Smith, and I called Lee, and well, he said he might be interested. He was kind of a Chevy man, but he was meticulous. He was an engineering background, and turned out to be one of the stars of the Chrysler fleet back with Dave Kofels at the time. And of course we had Landy, and we had the Grand Spalding Dodge people, and Sox and Martin. There were several of them. But tonight we're here at a function that is being put on by Larry Griffith, who formerly ran a Hemi Dodge for Ward Motors out of Geneseo, and then Ferris Motors. I think he teamed up in there with Jack Ferris, a Savannah, Illinois dealer. But we're standing here by the original altered wheelbase, acid-dipped 1965 Plymouth that Lee drove and campaigned, and it has been brought here to Mosley's Hemi Mopar Museum in Coe Valley, Illinois, right alongside of Interstate 280 that goes into 80.